Welcome back, listeners, to the Nice to Meet You podcast. This is season 2, episode 5. And today I have the pleasure of speaking with Aigner Moore. Aigner and I met in Sunday school at church. We also spent some time together, working together on the youth department. We have connected through our love for God, our love for education, our passion for helping people. She was born in St. Louis, raised in Arkansas, and eventually she moved to Georgia. Aigner earned her bachelor's in biology from Georgia State University, graduating with summa cum laude honors and a 4.0 GPA. That's awesome. She returned to St. Louis in 2016 when she was accepted as a medical student at St. Louis University, or SLU. She has passed all her board exams and will graduate in May of 2021. Upon graduating, she will work in low-income communities, serving adolescent pediatrics, and that's like the age group of 11 to 21. She is also a wife as she married her high school sweetheart, Yae Moore, in September of 2017. Would you join in with me in welcoming Yae to the Nice to Meet You podcast?
Thank you so much, Lynette. That was an awesome introduction, and I'm so happy and grateful to be here and to be on your show. And I'm hoping for the very best as we address everything with authenticity. And I'm hoping someone is blessed from this.
Oh, they will. You have such an inspiring story, so I have no doubt that people will find motivation, inspiration, determination. And so just looking over your resume, looking over all the things that you told me that you've done, it's quite an extensive resume. So I want to congratulate you on your perseverance and determination. Where does that come from?
Oh my gosh, where does it come from? Probably first and foremost, it comes from my parents, my mom and dad, both born and raised here, and just kind of had to work hard from the beginning for everything that they have. They are both small business owners now, but I think it originally comes from them. And then just kind of having that desire at an early age to become a doctor based on what I experienced, based on what I saw. No doctors in the family at all, but just having a great experience with my own pediatrician and saying, hey, one day I want to be in your shoes.
So is that what led you to like becoming a doctor? Was it only that experience like with the pediatrician, or was it like did wanting to help people? What are all the factors that came into play in you wanting to be a doctor?
Sure. So, I mean, when I was 5 years old, I was playing softball. That's when my mom introduced me to softball, and I've been playing softball for over 21 years now.
Wow.
And so just that teamwork aspect of things, I really love that. And then obviously softball teaches you resilience whenever you take a loss. I mean, it teaches you honesty, it teaches you integrity, so there's a lot of things that I learned playing sports as an athlete. But then as a child also, I watched TV like any other child. And I remember my sister and I watching like the Discovery Health Channel and first seeing like babies being born on TV and, doctors and their roles. We always thought that was interesting. And then from there, as I got older and older, I was exposed to my pediatrician, who I had an amazing relationship with. Sometimes it was even easier to talk to her about things that I was maybe afraid to talk to a family member about. So the fact that she was able to grasp my trust and my attention at such an early age, that really motivated me to say, hey, I enjoy the softball aspect of things and like working with people and helping people and, having a plan and a plan and also a strategy to win as a team. So that encouraged me. And then seeing the pediatrician having that experience encouraged me. But so many experiences through medical school and even like working so hard in college encouraged me. It's like, I got to do better. I want to see better. Generational curses and, things that have already happened before me. I need to see better, not only for myself, but for my family. So there's so many different factors that really encouraged me to shoot for this goal.
So what about the growth side of being a doctor? Did that kind of deter you, or was that ever like a apprehension with the the gruesome side that comes with it?
Yeah. I mean, I struggled in medical school. I am finishing up now, but there were definitely times where I struggled with my board exams, specifically my step one exam. I had to take that exam 3 times. And so the first 2 times was just a matter of me not knowing that I needed help. First, having to realize that I do need help and not knowing what questions to ask and who to ask them to. And so during this medical school experience, I really had to learn how to become an advocate, not only for the patients, which I do on a daily basis, but an
Mm-hmm.
advocate for myself. Um, there were times where I felt like I wanted to quit. There were times where I told people, like my deans and my family members, that I was done.
Wow.
But what it really took was not only for me to bounce back and have that resilience and, build those characteristics that kept me strong. It really took me seeking God in that time where things just got really, really hard. It also really took me surrounding myself around the right people who were supporting me and pushing me to go forward, and sometimes even grabbing me by the collar and saying, "Look, Anya, you got to keep going." And so I definitely won't say that there was never a time where I was like just wanting to quit, but I persevered, and now I'm here,
Did you
coming to
ever
the finish line.
did you ever think like with your decision, like am I making the right choice? Like so, your faith in God. And so, we hit bumps and roads, we have highs and lows. And I'm a firm believer in that anything worth having, you have to work for. And so, but I know sometimes, like the scripture says, God won't put more on us than we can bear. But I feel like
Mhm.
sometimes God pushes that needle. Like he gets really close to pushing it, over the top. So did you ever have those thoughts like, man, God, like I thought this was like my purpose, but I'm like, man, I'm not quite
Mhm.
so sure because you said 3 times, right? You took it,
Yes, 3
and
times.
was that the max amount of times that you could?
Yes. There that was, and I passed it on the third attempt. So, but I failed it twice, and I even had a lot of people coming to me like, "Man, Anya, I really commend you because I never would have, kept going or kept shooting for that goal after this much time has already passed, and graduation for you will be delayed, and all of these other factors." But I think when you fail, you have to realize that there is a bigger picture, and there is a bigger goal, and there's a finish line that you're looking at, right? And failure in one season does not mean that your whole life is over and that the dream and the purpose that God gave for you, even before you were in your mother's womb, has changed, or that God is saying no now. Failure in one season could potentially just be there to help you improve as a person so that you are equipped for what God has for you in the future. And I had to realize that for myself.
So how did
I
you
mean,
improve?
oh my gosh, so I had to get like evaluated. I had a learning evaluation, self-evaluation. I now have a therapist, I have a psychiatrist. I am not afraid to say that. I am an open book, and I feel like having a therapist makes you a better person. It does not make you weak because
Not at
you
all.
have that you need this type of therapy. I know in our community sometimes, especially for men, it's hard to reach out for that type of help, but sometimes that's just what we need. And so I did reach out to get those things. I've been reading a book that improves my executive skills, which
Okay.
include things like procrastination and your working memory and metacognition. These are all skills that allow you to be great, not only at work, but also in the home and with the relationships you have in your personal life. And I was newly married, so that in itself was most of the time amazing, but sometimes a stressor, like
Yeah.
because I'm trying to merge and become one with a whole new person, trying to get through medical school. And it was a lot. It was a lot. But God is so good, and I'm so happy that I failed because it wouldn't if I didn't have, if I never failed, then it wouldn't have shown me where my true weaknesses are and what really had to be worked on. And that was me.
No,
So
I appreciate you sharing that. You're an inspiration to me. If you don't mind me telling people how old you are.
yeah, no
Okay,
problem.
so Anya is 26, right? 26, and
Hmm.
she had gave a testimony at our church, and like she inspired me because she, at the time I think you had failed twice, and you said you had to take it
Hmm.
again. And as you all know, listeners, you know that I'm 38, and later on in life that I went back in school, and so that could be challenging within itself. Seeing other people that are younger doing something that I'm doing that I'm older, and I have to have the perseverance and determination, and how you didn't give up. And so your inspiration to me, not, and the age doesn't matter. Like I said, you're 26 and
Yeah.
I'm 38, and you are an inspiration to me. And I love your story. And the book, can you tell the listeners what book you're reading? I know I heard you mention a book.
Yeah, I actually have it right here. It's called The Smart But Scattered. It's a guide to success. It's about executive skills, and there's just this one page that I'll share really quick because this book is specifically for these people who tend to do these things. So, really quick, this book is for you if you tend to procrastinate, jump from one activity to another without finishing any, have trouble keeping workspaces or homes neat and organized, forget to do things you promise, find yourself chronically running late, lose your cool when people don't behave the way you think that they should,
Wow.
struggle to come up with plan B when things don't go the way you thought they would, or
Wow.
fritter away your time when you know there's work to be done. So this, if you have one of those, then this can help you. And I'm pretty sure everybody has at least one of those
I got a
that
few
they,
of them.
yeah, me too. I had like almost all of them. So I'm like, this book is amazing, and I'll show it just for your viewers. This is what it's called, The Smart But Scattered: Guide to Success.
Thank you
But
for sharing that.
amazing book.
How long have you been reading?
I have been reading that book. I think I've been reading this book for about 2 weeks now. It's a very slow read because not only is it telling you what to do, but it kind of helps you organize and understand where your weaknesses are with different assessments and quizzes within the book. And
Okay.
then you can kind of quiz yourself to see exactly where you are. So
All right.
I am, when people ask you that question, like, what are your weaknesses? What are your strengths? That's a very hard question unless you've done some type of full self-evaluation of what, where do I stand and what am I really good at and where can I work on? Like, what things can I work on? So that book is helpful.
Sounds like you've been doing a lot of self-reflection and self-awareness, and that's key, especially with the
Yes,
field that you're going into, that we have
absolutely.
to be very self-aware because we're impacting, I mean, like a doctor, man, seeing patients and just listening. Sometimes they just have things going on and they may get off topic and they may share things with you and you're like, man, I
Mhm.
wasn't thinking that I was a therapist. So like you have to have yourself in
Right.
check. You have to have yourself in a good mental space to be able to receive that and to be able to help them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Just to second that, what we found in studies is that the healthcare aspect of like your health outcomes and like early death and things, healthcare and having access to healthcare in itself only has a 10% effect on your health outcomes. And so the other 90% effect are social things like, well, genetics is 40%. That's not really social, but like your environment or like your behavior or the things that you are exposed to, healthy eating, healthy quality housing, safe environment, like safe community. So there's a lot of other aspects that have an effect, even transportation on your health.
Yeah.
How can you get the medications you need if you don't have reliable transportation? How can you exercise outside if there's gunshots ringing out in your neighborhood? Like there's a lot of things to consider. And so as a physician, it's so important that you not get so caught up in what can I prescribe to you to help you feel better today, but also asking those questions where I know that you said you don't eat healthy foods. Is it because you don't want to eat healthy foods or is it because you don't have access to healthy foods?
Yeah.
Maybe you don't have access to the resources and the services that you need. And so that's kind of where my head is all the time. That's why I really look forward to community medicine versus, just being inpatient all the time. I really want to be out there in the community face to face to those discrepancies and health disparities.
No, you kind of went into like what I was going to say next. Like, what pulled you to like the low income and what the age group? Why did you pick 11 to 21? What is particular about
Yeah.
that group to you?
So my plan is actually to do general pediatrics. So I will see like all of the children, but I am very like my heart goes out to the adolescent because at that age, we, I'll just speak on how it was for me. We are so very misunderstood.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I have so much experience already with like mentoring and speaking to people. And I think God has helped me in a way to where I am so much more open-minded now. And sometimes when adolescents speak with older people who are not so open-minded, some people have a very tunnel vision way of seeing things. They just don't understand this population of people. And so there's a lot of pediatricians who actually won't go into adolescent medicine because that's just not their interests. That's not what they want to deal with all the time. and there's a huge need for adolescent pediatricians. And I'm actually not saying that I am going to go into adolescence, because I think general pediatrician or pediatrics in the community will help the most people, especially with the community type that I'm trying to address and help. But to answer your question, I want to be that person who adolescent children feel comfortable and trust with opening up and sharing their story. I want them to feel like I care. I want them to
Yeah.
feel like I am on your team and I'm on your side, and I'm not here to change every single thing that you say to me, because maybe half of the things that you say will be wrong. But I want you to know that I'm listening. I want you to know that I'm creating a plan for you that works for you, and not just a plan for you that I think is right for you. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Sounds like you're
So,
interested in building like real relationships. Cause I know like I've had a doctor before and I'm like, this doctor, she doesn't care about me as a person. She's kind of mean. She's
yeah,
kind of angry. So some doctors
yeah,
don't have that bedside manner. So I feel like some people, even in the
yeah,
teacher field, it's like I
hmm
feel like sometimes people choose careers because I don't know, maybe their family wanted them to do it, maybe they felt they liked the money. But
yeah,
the type of careers that we're in, you have to really have to have a care for people, like wanting
you
to
do.
really see them progress, really see them do well. And so, who are the mentors in your life? You spoke about like building relationships and things like that, and
hmm
showing the adolescents that that you care. Who has been there for you, and what is the most important thing that they have taught you?
Yeah, well, I think my biggest mentor, which is kind of funny, but my biggest mentor is probably my mom.
Okay.
And it's not because my mom was a doctor. It's not because my mom had it all figured out. But my mom was 100% dedicated. My mom showed me in the face of adversity what it means to bounce back and have that resilience, and whenever things look like they're going wrong, how to give of yourself and be selfless for the people around you. And so my mom totally dedicated her life to me and my little sister. She only had 2 kids, and I am finishing medical school, and my little sister finished undergrad at Savannah State University in
Okay.
Georgia. And so she was so much of a mentor and role model for me. Sometimes she even had to like put her own plans to the side and like make sure that my schooling was going well and everything was paid for, and I needed nothing, and I had no other concerns while finishing school. And so she was everything for me. I've also though had so many other like teachers. I've had counselors along the way who helped me at different stages and seasons of my life. I even have a marriage counselor right now who is amazing for me, and she is helping our marriage so much. But not just our marriage, she allows me to see me in the eyes of God,
Yeah.
to see my weaknesses, to see my strengths in the eyes of God, and like remind me of who I am, even when I feel lower than who I am, even when I feel lower than what God says I am. And so I feel like mentors are people who sometimes come and go. You know what I mean? So some of your mentors, you don't want to expect for them to be in your life all of your life. Sometimes mentors are there for a season, and then sometimes mentors are only there for an aspect of your life. Like I have academic mentors, I have Christian mentors, and like evangelists who speak into my life as mentors. I have family members who mentor to an aspect of my life. But I think you'll pick up so many different mentors
No, I
throughout your life.
agree.
And this is just advice to anybody looking for mentors. I once had a hard time finding mentors, and maybe it was because I felt like this person needs to understand every aspect of my life. But my life is like an onion, like there's so many layers,
I like that.
you know? And so, yeah.
No, I like that. And speaking about your faith in God, and so have you always had this relationship with God, or did you like maybe along the way somebody maybe witnessed to you, or
Mhm.
maybe God spoke to you? Can you talk about your faith in God and why it's so important to you and how He has helped you through this journey?
Yeah, my faith in God. Oh my gosh, my faith has been tested over and over. But I'll start from the beginning. Yes, I have always had this relationship with God. At the age of 11, I was baptized and I dedicated my life to Christ. Obviously, after 11, I went through my teenage years. I went through college. Been in school all my life. During that time, I've always had my grandma, who was kind of like my role model in a God sense. She was the one that introduced me to God, showed me the right way, showed me how to read my Bible, showed me how to pray, and all those things. And then based on the things that she showed me, I kind of gradually made it my own. And so throughout the years, I've always had my own Bible. I've done my own studies for a long time. Even as a child, I would even go to church by myself because I don't even know why, but I guess there was just something in my heart that was seeking God always, you know? And I've always been the friend that everyone's like, oh, Anya, like she don't curse, like, because I mean, I don't know,
Yeah, me either.
at a
Me
young
either.
age, yeah, I just at a young age, like I was told not to do it, and so I always had like this hurt in my heart, you know, when I heard the curse words and when like I said them or like, so I just never curse, you know what I mean? Like that's just so wrong to me. That's just like one little thing. So God has always been there, and even in college, when I went through those seasons where like maybe God seemed quiet to me, or maybe I was astray and like trying to do my own thing, trying to make my own decisions. God was just always there. I feel like in those trials, in those hard times, God allowed that to happen and my faith to be tried so that he could remind me like, Anya, you know, you have to seek me in order to get the things you
Yeah.
need. You can't be in control, you know, you are not entitled, you know, this is not all about you. And I'm still learning that to this day. Like I can't have full control. I am not entitled. I can't say like I deserve this and this and this, and I want another person to be this and this and this way and things like that. So, but to answer your question, God has always been there. Obviously different seasons where I was maybe in my Bible more or praying more, but God always did an amazing job at re-steering me toward him, to look toward him. And so
Wow. I can, when listening to you talk, I think about the time like I would make myself curse on the playground just to see how it sounds. just to see like, how does it sound with people? And it didn't even sound right.
yeah,
It's like I'm trying to
yeah,
do it. It was like, Lynette, stop it. Like that's
yeah,
not
it just
not you.
don't. Yeah, that's so true. It just don't even sound right. Flowing off my tongue. I'm like, what is this?
Yeah. No, but I can relate. So I say with me, like my family, churchy family, since I was like 8, things like that. So
Yeah.
experiencing life and trying to go out and do your own thing. But it's like you said, it's something in you. Like I've always been drawn to God. Like even now, like going through therapy, I have more sort of a balance because like
Mm-hmm.
the way I grew up is like it was church, 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 church. I didn't have a
Yeah.
balance. And it's you have to have a balance because people have to be
Yeah.
able to relate to you to even want to listen to you. You're telling me about
Absolutely.
God, but like I'm a human being. Like I just want you to
Yeah.
listen sometimes.
Yeah.
So I had to find that balance and therapy has, helped me do that. And
Yeah.
so your husband, McLean, your
Yes.
high school sweetheart, that's a beautiful
Yes.
story to me in itself. So can you tell the people kind of like just a little bit about your story and how you all met, and then kind of like what has he meant to you on this journey to becoming a doctor?
Okay. Okay. So yeah, we met ninth grade of high school. We were 14 years old. Girl, I don't even know like how God kind of like whispered in my ear that day or something. I'm sitting in the cafeteria and God is like, or I don't even know if it was God. Maybe it was just me, but I never do this. I never leave my spot, my lunch seat to go get up and go meet a new person. I don't know if I was just kind of shy or whatever, but I kind of just already had a friend. She would sit with me. But then we had finished eating that day, and I was like, Glennis, let's get up and let's go meet that dude over there. Like, let's go say hey. So we got up and we went over there. We said hey, we sat with him, and I introduced myself. She introduced herself, and we were talking to this guy. And then McLean comes out of the tray area and comes to sit at the table because this guy is his best friend. And when I first saw McLean, I was not attracted. I did not want to talk to him. Was not interested. Like none of this. But I don't know how. Like, we started talking, and then we swapped numbers, and we became friends. And our friendship was so legitimate that me and my little sister would talk on the phone with him and his little brother till like 4 o'clock in the
Oh,
morning. We would play games. We would make like song audios and send them back and forth. We would laugh and joke, go swimming together. We lived in a similar neighborhood, very close to each other. Never no type of intimacy. There was like just a pure friendship. We
okay.
were so young, we were so innocent, And then we separated because when I turned 16, a few years later, but I turned 16. Mom told me I could have a boyfriend, so I had a boyfriend, and
So it
that
wasn't
was
him?
that.
What kind of stuff is that? What kind of stuff
It
is
wasn't. It wasn't him. He was kind of doing this thing, and I was doing my thing. So I had a boyfriend. Me and this guy broke up after high school,
Okay.
and then college started, and it just so happened. And I don't know if God just had this plan, but McLean's family was moving to Atlanta at the same time that I was starting school in Atlanta at Georgia State University, and we took advantage of that opportunity to rekindle our friendship. And then we started dating during college, and so we dated all through college. And then he proposed to me right after my graduation. And so he
Oh,
took me like to this cabin out in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, and he proposed. It was very nice. And then we got married a year and a half after. So we have been married for 3 years now.
okay.
And what has he been for me during this process? Everything. Oh my gosh. So his goal at all times has always been to just make everything about life easier so that medical school could be easier.
Okay.
Obviously, there's nothing about medical school that he can help me with. He does not understand that level of
Don't
information.
sleep
No
on
one in
him.
my
Don't
family
sleep on
does.
him.
So, but no, I'm not sleeping on him because everything outside of that. So he made sure that the house was taken care of. He made sure that the bills were always paid. He made sure that I always had all of the attention that I need, all of the love I need. He was always present, and he was so selfless in that
Okay.
presence. So, like, sometimes even forgetting about himself to make sure that I was settled, that I was happy, that I had no other worries outside of medical school. And so that he was everything for me during this
Oh,
process, during this walk, like whatever I needed, just there. And obviously, with marriage, everything won't be perfect. And so, during those 3 years, we have had like our fights and our fallouts and things, but he was always there for me regardless of the disagreements and the fights that occurred. And we've learned more and more to work together as a team. I feel like those hard times allowed us to really mold into what we are today. And marriage counseling is not something that has to be done because things are going wrong. Marriage
exactly.
counseling is so amazing. It has made such a huge impact on my marriage. And anybody that listens to this later and is married, just Lynette, tell them to do marriage counseling. It is not.
I
It
sure
is
will.
not for right. It's not for the weak marriages. It's not for people who are just hating each other. It is to only empower and strengthen the marriage that God has already created for you. So
No,
I'll just
I
stop
speak from
there.
my own experience. Like you said, going back to therapy, that people think that you go to therapy when something's wrong.
Yeah.
No, sometimes you go to therapy because it's so. I call them like magicians because I feel like they listen to us talk and they're able
Yeah.
to connect things in our life, and it makes life
Yeah.
makes so much more sense. It's like sometimes
Right.
the way they respond is like, why didn't I see this? They make it seem so easy. Like, why
Yes.
didn't I see all of
Yes.
this connected? And so
Right.
it's amazing. Like I said, listen to Anya, go to marriage counseling, go to therapy. Just work on your mental health. And so,
Yes.
what advice? And I'll give you two groups of people to give advice to. So, someone
Okay.
like I said, you're 26 and you got married at 23. So, what advice would you give a person that's out there thinking like, I'm too young, I want to wait till I'm in my 30s or 40s, or what
Yeah.
kind of advice would you give to them?
A lot of people told me that I was too young, and they told me that I should wait, especially since I had so much going for myself. I'm starting school. They were like, no, you need to focus on school. If there's a lot of people around you who have not experienced what you are experiencing, take their advice, but take it with a grain of salt.
Okay.
I would say to follow your heart. Sometimes your heart can cause you to get lost, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, in that situation, seek God always, right? And I know it's so much easier said than done, but while you are following your heart, seek God so that you know that what is in your heart aligns with His will for you.
Facts.
And so if things align and this guy that you love and are thinking about marrying is showing like those fruits of God, and he's presenting himself accountable and able to be a husband for you, then go for it. Don't allow kids, school, training, whatever's going on in your life, whatever stresses in your life to stop you from going for it. God honors marriage, and he
Amen.
will help you through your marriage.
Amen. That's some awesome advice. Listen,
Yeah.
Anye. And then your second group of people is like, man, I feel like if I could create a Barbie doll or I could create a doll, like I would say like a doctor, like Dr. Miss Stuff and doctors like that, like for little young Black girls to look up to. What advice would you give to a young Black girl out there thinking maybe she wants to be a doctor, maybe she wants to be an engineer, Maybe she
Mhm.
wants to go be an auto mechanic. Like, just different fields that
Mhm.
sometimes Black women are, you don't typically see them in. Just like Kamala
Mhm.
Harris being a VP. Just all these
Yeah.
powerful Black women. Like, what advice would you give to the young Black girl out there just on the fence about going into a professional field, whether it be doctor, whether it be whatever?
Yeah. To the young Black girl, my advice is to first do some self-evaluation. Find out what it is about you that drives you, that pushes you, that makes you want to work in purpose, that makes you feel like you're like seeking those passions. So get to the bottom of what makes you go, right? And then when you find out what your passion is, for me, it was service and servitude. But when you find out what your passion is and you find out exactly what field you want to go into, give it everything that you've got. Put your best foot forward. Do it as if you are doing it for God. Doing it as if you are doing it to please God. You'll never please man. You will never please man. You can try to be everything that they are. You can change your hair. You can change your skin. You can change the way you talk. You'll never please them, and that's okay. But I think if you do it with everything that you have, then if you please God, then He will make sure that the people who don't even like you will bless you. They will put you in the positions
Yes.
to where like you didn't even expect them to help you out at all, right? And within that, always remain your authentic self.
Amen.
I went natural not too long ago, and I
I
have
love
felt
it.
so much more. Thank you. I felt so much more confident, so much more beautiful. I am myself at work. I am not trying to fake it to make him and him and him happy. I do a good job because I know that my patients depend on me and that I am doing this for God. And so my advice to the young Black girl: find what you love. When you find what you love, go all at it, like give it your very best, not pleasing man, but pleasing God. And then always remain authentic in who you are, because even when you try to fake it to be like the other people or fit in with the other people, they still, sometimes don't love you. But
We see
God will always love you.
we see that today, and I'm glad
Yeah.
you. So I know, speaking from my own experience, when I was in the corporate world or working in an office, it's like sometimes I had to fight to be heard. I had to fight
Yeah.
to be seen. It's like they just talk over you. They don't
Mm-hmm.
act like you don't exist, and
Yep.
I'm like, I would have to make them feel me. Like, I would make sure my
Yeah.
presence would felt every time I was in the room, and
Mm-hmm.
sit up with your shoulders up and act like you belong there.
Yeah.
And have you ever experienced that where you had to fight to be seen or fight to be heard or in your
Mm-hmm.
field?
Yeah, of course. Honestly, we have a totem pole, or yeah, we have like levels in my field. And as a medical student, you truly are at the bottom, So even like all medical students in general have felt like they are not being heard at one point or another. And when you feel like you're not being heard, sometimes you have to count the costs to see how important it is that what you have to say is heard. But if you know that it's going to cause like damage or trauma or whatever to the patient, that's when it becomes a priority over your feelings or your embarrassment or what could come out of you being heard. And that's when you have to stand up, take a seat at the table and say, look, I have to say this, and this is why this is important, and this affects my patient in this way, or this affects our work done here in this way. And I think you just having that boldness when it is appropriate, it will be appreciated.
Yeah, that's some good advice. So to close this out, I want to, my show is about becoming the best version of ourselves. And so do you feel
Mhm.
like that Anye is on the path? When you look in the mirror, do you know who's staring
Mhm.
back at you? Do you feel like you are the best version of yourself, or are you becoming the best version of yourself?
I think if you ask anybody around me, they'll tell you that I'm the best version of myself because I put out or try to put out the very best version of myself. But if you ask me on a self-reflection perspective, I am not the best version of myself quite yet, but I am becoming that. And that is because I am learning to better advocate for myself on a day-to-day basis. And so I am just being a lot more intentional about how I think, how I feel, what God has for me, and seeing myself through His eyes and through His reflection. I yearn to imitate Him. And so I think the more that I am walking in His path and in His way, I'm becoming the best me because I was made in His image,
I
you know?
love it. I feel like you're mature beyond your years. And that's not a slight on you or anything like that. It's just that I feel like my 26-year-old self, wasn't
Mhm.
on Yae's how you are today. And I thank you for taking the time to speak to my listeners today. And so
Absolutely.
thank you so much. Is there a way that they can continue to follow you on your journey? That they can see,
Yes.
just let the people know how to keep in contact with you.
Sure. So if you want to contact me because you have questions or you feel like you just need some advice, or maybe you are going into a field that is difficult and you are a Black girl and you want to see like what this is like, they can email me. My email is aigner.moore@yahoo.com. That's spelled AIGNER Moore @yahoo.com. If people just want to follow me, I mean, I'm on Facebook. My name right now is Yae Samone because I'm trying to stay professional for my interviews. I have a lot of interviews coming up, but it's YAE and then space SAMONE. I'm also on Twitter. That is like my medical page, but if they want to follow it, that's fine too. And my name there is Aigner Moore. And then I'm also on LinkedIn if they want to connect there. And my name also is Aigner Moore there. So
Okay, it's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure
yes,
speaking
it
to
really
you
has.
today, and I just hope there's some young Black girl out there listening. And no slight on any other races, but I just feel like I like to lift us up because sometimes we don't always get the accolades that other people get or the encouragement that other people get. So I just
Yeah.
hope that if you're out there and you're listening, Anya did it. She's 26. She's about to be a doctor at 26.
Yeah.
You can do it. So before we close, I always end with my favorite scripture, but I always let the listeners, sometimes the listeners, if I feel like they're a Christian, and can you give the listeners your favorite scripture before we close out?
Yes, yes. It's a Proverbs. Ooh, let me not get this wrong. Proverbs 16:9. It says, in my heart I plan my course, but the Lord determines my steps. Very favorite scripture.
I love that. And you know me, Jeremiah 29:11, for I know
Mhm.
the thoughts I think towards you, saith the
Yeah.
Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give
Mhm.
you an expected end. God's going to bring
Amen.
us to our expected end. Go out there,
Amen.
be amazing, be beautiful. Until next time.
Thank you.